my name's Corinne Christensen. I'm a teacher at Vicente Martinez High School in the New Leaf Leadership Academy. Our Leadership Academy focuses on project-based education. One of the projects that we do is called the Oral History Project. It started about 10 years ago with my teaching partner, Ronna Zollinger, and with a lot of community partners. What happened is my students interacted with the members of the Oral History Project, to get the stories of Martinez citizens down. And the Oral History Project people are teaching my students how to conduct oral history experiences for local people. What I'm really enjoying about the Oral History Project that we're doing right now is my two students who are working or who are conducting the interviews are learning so much. They're learning about themselves, how to be professionals. They're learning how to ask and answer questions, the different types of questions for different situations. They're learning how to interact with community leaders. They're benefiting in so many ways. They're also seeing the connections to history, how one person's passion has been able to influence and change a whole community. So they're realizing that one voice does make a difference. These students are also realizing their own power, that they're learning how to interact and take a leadership role with adults. So that benefit is there. I see KK and Sasha come back with renewed excitement and with renewed pride that they've done well in asking the questions. Every time they come back, they share with me their successes, and they're so eager to tell me about what they've done. They come up and they share the newspaper articles that they've researched. They share experiences that they had with the oral history committee members. There's no negative to this. There's only positive for my students, and I hope for the oral history volunteers as well.
As a small boy, formerly from Alhambra Valley, Martinez, California.
And then if you'd like to read.
All right, my question, how did John Muir influence your beliefs? I suppose the best answer is John Muir is my great-grandfather, and living in Alhambra Valley as a small boy, knowing the family lived here in the adobe, knowing that John Muir and his family lived at the site up the hill, I suppose I say that John Muir had a large influence on my life from a very small boy. The household word was save the redwoods, respect nature, and those type of things. Enjoy the wilderness, leave it better than that which you found it.
So how did you get involved in the shoreline cleanups, and why did you?
We start the day with cleanup, but the big cleanups, the big shoreline cleanup started in the mid-1980s with the Coastal Cleanup Project, which is a nationwide beach and shoreline cleanup effort.
What's your daily routine?
Daily, we start in a central office, and then we go out and do all the parks that we're responsible for. And with us, that's 4 big parks. And we start with cleanup, and we always start with the restrooms, the play areas, and then we go down to the duck pond. Those are the 3 priorities with us.
What was the worst thing that you have ever found?
The worst, God, there's been a lot. We had to stop a coast cleanup, I think about 1990, 91, because somebody found a bunch of dumped chemicals. And during the same cleanup, they found 7 bags of stolen U.S. mail.
Wow.
So we had to put the whole cleanup on hold while the FBI got involved with trying to figure out where the mail came from.
And what about the animals? Do you take care of them?
To the extent that we can, we do. Yeah. If we can get them to Lindsay Museum, we'll do that. If they're injured and they're wild, if they're domestic, we'll try to get them back to their owners the best way that we can.
What do you do with the garbage that you find?
The garbage that we find, we put in dumpsters, and it's hauled to the waste management, just like household garbage, only on a bigger scale. And we do recycle.
So if kids want to get involved with your profession, how would they do that?
What they should do, and this is what I'm seeing a lot of in the last 10 years. We used to have kids that would come down there on work crews from the juvenile hall. Say they had gotten an infraction or anything, and they went to the juvenile hall. They could work off part of their sentence by being on work crews. And we call them juvenile work crews. And the funding for that got eliminated about 10 years ago. I would get kids down here, and we would just do cleanup projects and that type of thing, that didn't know how to hold a shovel, or didn't know how to sweep or use a broom, or anything at all involving common sense physical type work. Is the most basic thing is be exposed to that type of activity. I mean, it's just crucial, because right now the emphasis seems to be on having those types of skills for the job that I do. And that's evolved from back in the 70s and 80s, people more or less having a vision of how things were supposed to be, to more practical experience now.
What advice would you give kids today that want to do your profession but they're not really sure if they should, or they don't, what are the pros and cons of your profession?
Well, we have volunteer opportunities. If they want to do something, or they just want to hang out with us and see what it's like, feel free. I mean, come on down. And I noticed the applications are down for park ranger position this year. So get some practical experience. I mean, take horticultural classes and landscape maintenance, that type of thing. Anything to do forestry, and apply, because we need people. We're having a big turnover. A lot of people my age are passing through, and there's a big gap between people my age and the people coming up in their 20s and 30s.
Between the issues of the past and the issues of the future is that the same things that are important for protecting wildlife populations, large contiguous pieces of open space, are the key to adaptation in a time of climate change. That climate change is going to be the biggest environmental issue in all of our lives for the rest of our lives, and for future generations to come. And for park areas, what that really means is that vegetation communities are going to change in elevation, and are going to move in one direction or another, and because of temperature, a lot of that's expected to be, move north or move south, or move up elevation or down elevation. And so the same things that work for protecting wildlife populations, wildlife corridors, large contiguous pieces of open space, are some of the buffers that will help us with climate change as well. And the same things that are important in terms of wildlife, protecting all the species, keeping all of the pieces of the watch, are important in climate change as well. And so the upshot of all of that is that oral history gives us a snapshot, a little window on the past, and allows us to see how things were done at a time when the way things were done was completely different than at some point in the future or some point in the past. So I have a great appreciation. That's why I'm willing to I get interviewed for all kinds of things because we do so much media work about our projects and things like that. But I have a great appreciation for the way history can be used to help environmental work, learning lessons from the past, etc., and also the ways it's going to influence things in the future.
So how do you see, say, the role of oral history compared to, say, other kinds of documentation in making this happen?
I don't know that I'm really educated enough to make that distinction. I just think of it as primary research, and the report on the water system of Curry Canyon Ranch that I wrote last night is 4 pages based on a single sentence in a deed referred to in a title report
Yeah.
that I managed to dig up, and I was able to take other historical knowledge I had and connect it to it to describe the story. You know, I found an aerial photo showing a well-established orchard that the water system was supplying, etc. But you know, we generally have to rely on secondary and more remote sources of information about historical things. When you actually get somebody who lived there, who can give you a whole conversation about what things were like or what was important.
Yeah.
You know, it's a treasure trove.
Yeah, it's more direct.
It's more direct, and you know, what I would give to be able to look at a video of John Muir describing what things were like 100 years ago. I mean, the fact that we can preserve information so much better now is just is exciting. And you know, rather than having a one-sentence referral to use to understand what's interesting to us, to have hours of video or hours of you know, 100 pages of transcript, for anybody who's interested in a topic, that's just really exciting.